Yo, we're live, running the intro.
Welcome to National Sports Chat. This your man's Ken the Guru. You're now tuned in to my take. And before I give you my take, I would like to ask you guys to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let's get it.
Hey, what's up, good people? How y'all doing, man? So now I want to talk about Canelo Alvarez. Him potentially now all of a sudden want to mention Jamal Charlo, and basically I named this Canelo Alvarez does this every time because he wait to a fighter specifically look vulnerable. He don't want to fight them in their prime. He always want to wait to basically they look vulnerable, and then that's when he want to do it. Remember when Billy Joe Saunders looked at vulnerable, he didn't want to fight him. When people like I believe he never fought Andre Ward, he never fought Demetrius Andre. He didn't fight other fighters, but remember what he used to always say with Billy Joe Saunders. He said he was boring. He didn't want to fight Billy Joe Saunders because Billy Joe Saunders, when he was fighting, what's his name? He a journeyman, but it's somebody that Triple G had fought. So basically, when he fought and looked good, Canelo Alvarez didn't want to take the fight, and then it wasn't until he had his last three fights at 168, last two fights at 168, that Canelo Alvarez saw vulnerability in Billy Joe Saunders, and when he fought Billy Joe Saunders, he was definitely on a long layoff. So Canelo Alvarez is a person that does not want to fight people until he see vulnerability or he see a lot of he see a lot of flaws in the fighter. And so basically Jamal Charlo just fought Montiel, and he didn't look as impressive in the sense that he got hit more. He still put on a clinic, and yes, he still put on a clinic. He had a lot of mistakes that he made. He got hit, and Montiello was hitting him with the uppercut. So I guess Canelo Alvarez saw him, getting hit with the uppercut a lot, and that's basically his forte. So he's looking at that as I'll stop him. And we all know that sometimes fighters have, bad fights, but I see a pattern in Canelo Alvarez. He always wait till he see a fighter vulnerable. He never wants to fight a 50-50 fight when a fighter is in a prime. And I'm not saying that Jamal Charlo is not in his prime, but I am saying that Canelo didn't want to be the one to try to crack the Da Vinci Code. He waited till he saw wait till he saw Jamal Charlo look human. But before that, he didn't want to fight him. And now he don't want to fight David Benavidez. He ain't mentioning David Benavidez. In fact, he said he's not fighting another Mexican due to the fact of David Benavidez. What is the commonality of all the fights that that Canelo Alvarez have? He either fight a fighter coming off a loss. He either fight a fighter that's vulnerable. He either fight a fighter that has a long layoff. Billy Joe Saunders had a long layoff. When you look at what's his name, Danny Jacobs, he didn't look as impressive. He didn't want to fight Deverenchenko because Deverenchenko looked like he beat Triple G, which he did in my book, my personal opinion. He beats him. But all of a sudden now, you know what I'm saying? He wants to fight Jamal Charlo after he didn't even want to mention him. And now all of a sudden, basically, he got to take care of business and want to fight Jamal Charlo. But I still think Jamal Charlo gonna beat him. You know what I'm saying? I just think that now it's funny that it had to take a lesser opponent to make him look vulnerable in order for him to take that fight, when he could have just been took it and literally dared to be great. So why people say, oh, well, why do you get on Canelo Alvarez? I get on Canelo because Canelo fight is literally his fight is literally tailor-made for him. The route that he goes and the fact that people act like every fight that he has, this person is, you know, just the best thing since sliced bread. And then they call somebody like Jamal Charlo or Demetrius Andrade a bum, when the fighter that he's actually fighting can't beat those two. So that's why I say that. And then him saying that he wants to fight other fighters and giving them more money than what Jamal Charlo and them would have gave him or whatever. He go for the lesser fight. 1 minute is about money, the next minute is not. It's about championships. It's about titles. Remember, all he had to do was fight Demetrius Andrade. All he had to do was fight Demetrius Andrade for undisputed. But what he do? He ducked it. He avoided it. He didn't want to fight him, you know. And so, like, those things is what makes me question Canelo Alvarez. You know, like, people think that I just hate Canelo Alvarez. Nah, I don't like his moves, the decision, how people try to blame it on Oscar De La Hoya for him not making that fight. In fact, when he went on his own, he made even worse fights. How do you fight Abney? You did it. That's what I call him. I call him Abney. I ain't gonna even say Abney. Average, you did it. He wasn't even a good fight, and he just had a very, very long layoff. Like, come on, man. Like, I'm not giving Canelo praises or props just because everybody else doing it. Now, when he earn it, then I will, if he earns it. But everybody know that there's no reason why he should have been fighting all these other opponents. And there's no reason why he should have waited to David Benavidez lost his belt before he decided to chase the WBC. See, that's what I'm saying. His career has been tailor-made. Everybody know that he should have been in line. Am I lying? David Benavidez should have been the one to fight for that WBC belt. But like the favoritism Mauricio Suleiman shows, he allowed Canelo Alvarez to fight basically a handover fight with Abney. You did it. But we supposed to praise Canelo for basically being awarded for these type of fights. I'm sorry, I can't do it. I got my own mind. I have a mind of my own. I don't allow other people to think for me. I'm sorry. But if anybody can make that make sense, allow Canelo Alvarez to fight these type of fighters, but then criticize better fighters, elite fighters like Jamal Charlo and Demetrius Andrade, but for wanting to fight, and then say, what have you done? When Canelo Alvarez just fought somebody that don't even deserve to even have a shot at a title belt because they ain't even won anything. Rocky Fielding. Come on now. Rocky Fielding, you did something because you fought Rocky Fielding, and then not just that, you go up to fight a very beat down Kovalev after he just fought a hard fought fight with Anthony Yard, and he didn't even give him a full training camp, just like he just tried to do Caleb Plant. Didn't want to get these fighters a full camp. Man, I'm not buying the hype. You know what I'm saying? Like, I definitely believe that Canelo Alvarez is a good, really good fighter. But I can't give him all-time great until he do all-time great things. People talk about Floyd Mayweather, how he ran, he fought, he did all this other stuff or whatever. But Floyd Mayweather fought everybody in his prime. He fought, a lot of champions. To this day, he fought the most champions that exist, and they all was elite champions. But you got somebody like Canelo Alvarez, who is basically allowed to fight for a vacant belt and allowed to maneuver in the way that he want to, when he ain't did half the stuff that Floyd Mayweather did. Yes, his resume looks good, but he got a few losses on them on that resume too. If they would have called it fairly. Who you talking about? I'm talking about Austin Trout. He lost to Austin Trout. He lost to Eris Landy Lara. He lost very convincingly. I believe Austin Trout was even more convincing, but he definitely lost to Lara too. But he just got the head nod, just like Triple G got the head nod versus Jacobs. When everybody know Jacobs won that fight, outside of Triple G having that knockdown, Jacobs dominated that fight, but they gave it to Triple G because they wanted to see the Canelo Alvarez versus Triple G fight. So I'm not putting no emotions in this. I'm going by what I see. I go by a very, 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 very well-known pattern by Canelo Alvarez. He don't want to fight nobody when they look in their prime. And that's just facts. Name me, for those who may disagree, name me one 50-50 fight that Canelo Alvarez had. Why don't he want to fight David Benavidez? I'm not saying that he can't beat David Benavidez. I doubt if he beat him. But why he don't want to fight David Benavidez? Why didn't he want to fight Jamal Charlo before the Montiel fight? Why didn't he still don't want to fight Demetrius Andrade? Demetrius Andrade looked a little vulnerable in his last fight, but he still don't want to fight him. Why? Because Demetrius Andrade is very lengthy, know how to use the distance, know how to fight, know how to box, can outclass him. No different from being elusive like Eris Landy Lara or Mayweather. He don't move as well as Mayweather, but I'm saying he can be as elusive. You know what I'm saying? That's why he don't want to fight them. He don't want to fight no fighter in their prime. He want to make sure he get all of them off a long layoff. And Jamal Charlo just came off a long layoff. So that's why I'm not equating that fight to Canelo Alvarez being able to win. I'm just saying that now, all of a sudden, Canelo Alvarez, he accept that fight. Even though he's still going to lose. But he saw some vulnerability in Jamal Charlo that he feel like he can exploit. But like I said, if Jamal Charlo stay active and get some more fights under his belt, I believe he beats him easy. So, that's all I want to say, man. I just think that, people give Canelo credit, some for obvious reasons, others just because everybody else is doing it. But me, I don't see what everybody else is seeing. I see a good fighter, but I don't see somebody that that's fighting other good fighters in their prime. I see that he don't want to make 50-50 fights. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I got, as far as for Canelo Alvarez. So I'm gonna go to my next topic. And I just wanna know. The caption is wrong, right? It got Teofimo Lopez, right? But we got Deontay Wilder is hated because he refused to conform. That's why he is hated. Deontay Wilder literally is a fighter that refused to allow anybody to put a battery in his back. And people hate him for it. So much that they would know that he was cheated, but they accept the loss because of the fact that they hate this man. Why do you hate this man when that dude showed nothing but love and respect to everybody? Why do you hate this man when he say things like he want a body, but then you applause a person like Tyson Fury for trying to drink Deontay Wilder blood in the fight? You applaud that. But what Tyson Fury, Mike Tyson, what they say, I'm going to eat children and all that, that's plausible. But the fact that Deontay Wilder said it, and I really think that he was being metaphoric at that time, right? But now I believe that that's what he want to do, at least to Tyson Fury. That body that he want is definitely Tyson Fury. So why do y'all hate Deontay Wilder? I see people, YouTubers actually making videos saying that Wilder is the cancer. How is Wilder the cancer? Because he wanted the trilogy. People say that Wilder is holding up Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. How is it that he's holding them up when he could have been fought Tyson Fury? Tyson Fury decided to take that he rather had went to arbitration and tried to avoid the fight. So he had to literally take him to arbitration to get this fight. Because they literally could have had this fight. If Tyson Fury felt like he won that convincingly, we'd have had nothing to worry about. You beat him again, you worry about the next person. You could have been having that or been studying or been training for Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. If you'd have just fought Deontay Wilder, beat him, as you claim that you did, as bad as you claim he did, you could have just did that and got that over with, and everybody would have been, talking about Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua. But you didn't, because you knew that you cheated. And you don't feel as comfortable because you know that all eyes are watching you. That's what's going on. He know that he's under more scrutiny than anybody. And that's the part that, frightens him, because now it's going to be a little harder for him to try to cheat. And my thing is, how do you beat somebody and put a dent in their head if you had nothing in them gloves? How can you do that? I need to know this, because last time I checked, you don't hit harder than Tyson. You don't hit harder than George Foreman. You don't hit harder than Tommy Hitman Hearn. Like, you don't hit harder than none of these boxers. And they ain't never been able to do no opponent like that. How all of a sudden a person that's not known for power able to put a dent in another man's skull if you did not cheat? How did we see those fingerprints, your fist prints? How did we see that? How did we see blood on your gloves that's covered? How? We all know how. but a lot of people don't like Deontay Wilder. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all. A lot of people also dislike Wilder because they don't like the gentlemen that are in the LDBC. And salute to y'all because y'all held boxing down and people been making a living just based off of disagreeing with anything that y'all say, any content that y'all came out. I support everybody. I go to other individuals' channel, and then they will be basically talking about these gentlemen, right? And then I see in the comment section, everybody's talking about the LDBC. But one thing I can say is this: they've been right a lot of the time. It's just that people refuse to hear it. And you got other YouTubers that basically play on their followers and subscribers' emotion. I ain't gonna play on your emotion. I'm gonna just give you my opinion. If you agree with me, you agree. If you don't, cool. Let's talk. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk. Come into the comment section. Let's talk. But you're not about to sway my opinion. You're not about to make me talk the way you want me to talk. You're not about to do any of that. You're going to get a fair assessment. That's why I got friends that are in very high places as far as like in sports, right? I ain't no yes man. I'm going to tell you what I feel, not what you want to hear. And I feel that Deontay Wilder is hated because he refuses to conform. Now, if Deontay Wilder wasn't talking about his own culture in a way that he brags about it, in a way that he's prideful, I think people wouldn't have as much of a problem with Deontay Wilder. If Deontay Wilder wasn't talkative, if Deontay Wilder wasn't, just basically speaking up for certain situations for his own culture, he would probably be like, but that's not the case. So they dislike him. They wanted to see this man fall to the point where they was willing to cheat him and didn't even want to talk about it. And now all of a sudden they want him to talk because he refused to talk. And that's the thing. They never been able to control this man. And people hate that. People love a person that can be controlled. Deontay Wilder ain't one of them. A person like Kwame Brown ain't one of them. These gentlemen have their own mind. And I encourage all of my culture to have their own mind and stop trying to appease and lie to individuals when you're not genuine. That's why Deontay Wilder is hated. Remember, now everybody is agreeing that Muhammad Ali is the greatest of all time. But in his phase, in his prime, when he had to basically make a decision whether to go to war or be banned from boxing, what he decide? He decided to be banned from boxing. Guess what? He was hated because he talked, he backed it up, and people couldn't stand it. So they wanted to see him lose at all costs. And that's why Mayweather is a person that will always be in a position to make money because he is a person they want to see him lose. They want to see Mayweather get knocked out. That's why. They wanted to see Deontay Wilder lose, and they did it at all costs to the point where this man looked like he was drugged. He looked like he was trying to stay woke. Literally going like this. before the fight, in the face-off. Right when they was in the ring, before the bell rung, he was doing this. They didn't look like nobody that was perfectly healthy to me. You know what I'm saying? So, man, that's all I got for now, man. This your man, Ken the Guru, man. You know, I appreciate y'all tuning in. That's all I got. I'm out.